Hello lovelies, welcome back to the little cottage by the sea on a really drizzly mizzly day. Can you see me in this dark gloaming? It's gone noon, but honestly it looks like it's the evening. Never mind. Welcome to the Monthly Moan. I was mentioning this last video or video before that. Anyway, it won't necessarily be a monthly moan, but I'm going to have a bit of a moan today about some things. So we're going to do it as a moan sandwich. We're going to start with some nice stuff, then we're going to have the moan, and then we'll end with nice stuff. So the beginning of the nice stuff is a thank you to Pamela. Socks! Oh, you're so clever. And I had a message from Judith in Australia. She's sending me some socks too, thank you. Anyway, these are the ones from Pamela. Traditional turned heel, so clever, cute colours. But also, she said, let me know how they feel. I can't remember what, I've got her card, I can't remember what she called the heel. So, aren't the colours gorgeous? It makes me think of Dr. Zeus. So you can see it's, is it knit one, purl one, plain stitch. But then on the back, you can see how, here's where the sole of your foot's going to be. And then there's some ribbing, and then it opens up again before obviously the ribbing at the top. So I'm guessing that's where the heel goes. I've never seen a heel like that before. So yes, I will certainly let you know how they feel. But I just adore the colours. Even on the most grotty day, how could you fail to smile popping those onto your toes in the morning? Thank you, lovely. It's so cute. You know I love a pair of hand-knitted socks. Maybe that should be my bucket list. Things to do before I die. Learn to knit and knit a pair of socks. I don't know. I don't know whether that will happen. Right, okay, let's get stuck in. Here comes the moaning. There's some nice stuff at the end though. Oh my goodness, my first moan of today is, it's something that I still can't quite believe that it's allowed to happen. This is all to do with in-contract price rises. And it feels like this kind of insidiously crept in about 3 or 4 years ago. So now when you sign a contract, it does mention it, but the first time this happened to me, so this seems to be happening with internet, broadband providers and with mobile phones, it seems. It happened to me about, I can't remember if it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I was in the middle of a 2-year contract, so I had signed my contract to have my broadband at, you know, £24, £25 a month. I can't remember what it was then, £25 a month. I've signed up to you, I've contracted with you to pay £25 a month for the next 2 years. If I leave you and go somewhere else, there's going to be a penalty because I'm contracted to you. And yeah, after about a year or so, I got an email saying we have to put our prices up, it's going up to £28. And I thought, hang on a minute, that's not what I signed up for. I signed up for 2 years at £25. You know, if you're going to put it up to 28, that's more like me signing up to 2 years at £26.50, you know, averaging it out. I haven't actually worked the maths out, but you know what I mean. So I got in touch with them. I was really cross with them. Always, no matter how cross and grumpy you are about something, when you pick up the phone to make your complaint or raise your issue or whatever it is, please, always take a few deep breaths, calm down before you make the phone call, because whoever's on the other end of that phone, they're just doing their job. Let's not shout at people down the phone. Anyway, so I called up to say, look, I have a contract with you, it lasts 2 years, you've put the price up, I'm not happy about that, I'm going to leave, Anyway, the long and the short was, they settled on leaving it at 25 quid. So it always pays. No, it doesn't always pay. It sometimes pays, so it's always worth trying to phone up to say, I'm not happy, I'm going to leave. So I finished my contract with them, got to the end of that 2-year contract, and I got the email, you're coming to the end of your contract, here's what we can offer you for another 2-year contract. And they were kind of keeping it at the same price, and I've always been happy with them. I've mentioned that before. Anytime I've had an issue like that in contract price rise, I've called them, it's been sorted. So the next contract I thought, yeah, I'm happy with that price. So I thought, I'm a bit of a nerd. I read the small print. And in the small print it said, your contract lasts until, let's say it was 2022 to 2024. In March 2023, we reserve the right to increase prices in line with inflation, or words to that extent. This was a new thing. It hadn't been in I looked at my previous contract, it had not been there. And I think this has happened across so many companies that they're actually, and I've seen adverts where it's like, a TV package, a pay, like, I'm not going to say Sky or Netflix in particular, I'm not talking about any particular company, but seeing an advert and it says, for $35.99 a month, 2-year contract, small print on the bottom of the screen, it says price rise after 1 year. What is the point? So therefore, this is what my part of the moan is. What is the point of advertising something as a 2-year contract at £25 if they know full well that after just 1 year they're going to put the price up? It's not a 2-year contract for £25, it's a 1-year contract for £25, and you're contracted to pay another year at an extra. It does my head in. It's like, when I had a mortgage, I always opted for a fixed rate. So I think the longest fixed rate I ever did was a 5-year, but generally I went for either 2 or 3 years at fixed rate, partly because of budgeting. I like to know a fixed amount. I didn't want a variable going up and down every time interest rates went up and down. I like to be able to budget. But I can't imagine a mortgage company, let's say you sign up for a 5-year fixed rate at, I don't know what percentage rates are like at the moment for a mortgage, but let's say you sign up for a fixed rate at 5%. And after 3 years, they suddenly turn around and say, oh, it's going up to 7%. No, I signed a contract for a 5-year, I'm going to sneeze, 5-year fixed rate mortgage. Likewise, with I was mentioning the other day that I was starting to think about looking at energy prices and finding a fixed price, energy price. I haven't done anything about it yet because, yes, Martin Lewis is back on our TVs. Yay! I love Martin Lewis. But so far he hasn't talked about fuel prices and fixing or not fixing. And I am going to listen to him. I think he has our best interests at heart and he always seems to have really, really good and fair guidance. But anyway, if you were in a fixed rate deal with your fuel provider, you fix at whatever price for 2-3 years. I suppose what I'm trying to get at is this is a sort of a legislative thing. I don't understand why phone companies and broadband companies are being allowed to do this, to mid-contract just put their prices up. This actually did come up on Martin Lewis the other day because now that all these companies, I think Paul's talked about this as well, all these things like I can't remember what they're called now, Ofwat and Ofgem, all these kind of not advisory bodies. There are these bodies associated with fuel, with phones, with water. They're supposed to be a sort of a consumer protection body so that they keep those companies in line to say, no, that's not fair, that's price gouging or whatever. They're supposed to keep an eye on all the firms and look after us. So I don't understand. So within these contracts, the off-gen, or whatever it's called, for phones and broadband, have said, yes, you can do these mid-contract price rises, but you can only do them by so much. And apparently recently O2, as a phone provider, have done their mid-contract price rise, but they've gone even higher than that inflation thing that they said they would. So Martin Lewis has been encouraging everyone to up sticks and abandon O2. Apparently, if it goes above a certain amount, you can leave the company penalty free. You have to do it within 30 days of them notifying you of their extortionate increase, but you can leave. And yeah, Martin Lewis is very much encouraging us all to do that, to call them to say, I'm not happy with this rise, I'm going to leave unless you bring it down. Because what he's said is one of the knock-ons might be that if O2 get away with it, then all the other companies will follow in suit. And they'll all start doing it, and Ofgem won't do a thing about it. So I think that's my big moan this month, is why is there not more legislative protection for consumers? If I'm in the middle of a contract, it's like I said, it would be crazy. Imagine that with mortgage companies. You're in the middle of a 5-year fix and they suddenly go, no, we're going to charge you more. But I fixed, and the whole point of, fixing has its pros and cons, and that's why I'm thinking hard about the fuel at the moment. I could fix right now. What if fuel prices come down, and they keep coming down? I can't see that happening. But then I'm fixed at a much higher rate. So maybe I need to wait for the prices to come back down in the spring or the summer and try and fix in the summer before it all goes up again. But the point is, once I'm fixed, I want to rely on that. I don't know how they get away with it. Anyway, so that's in contract price increases. I think it's absolutely outrageous. A couple of other quick little moans. Just before I left London, my blood pressure was a little bit, it's a little bit higher than normal, but it's not high enough to be considered, you need medication, what have you. But they were going to give me a 24-hour ambulatory test, where you wear the monitor for 24 hours, and I don't know how frequently they would have set it for, every hour or so, it takes a blood pressure reading. And I finally, I hadn't even made an appointment with the doctor. The doctor rang me about my medication. And as part of that chat, I said, by the way, 7 months ago, time's flying, 7 months ago, I was supposed to have this ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. And then I moved and I haven't organised it since. Can we get organised on that? And he said, yeah, we don't really do that. If you need to buy your own blood pressure cuff and monitor. So are you kidding me? The NHS is on its knees. So I was a bit dismayed at that, because I thought, I have bought one. I've got my old sphygmomanometer from when I was a nurse, but it's a manual one. So it's a bit, you can do it to yourself, but it's a bit tricky, because where your cuff is, then I'm using my hand to pump up the cuff, and my other hand, I've got my stethoscope in, my other hand is holding the stethoscope down onto my brachial. Anyway, so it's not ideal. Anyway, so I thought, no, I need a hands-free one so that I can sit and relax and get a more accurate measurement. So I did that, and it's cost 20 quid. But, it's my health, and the doctor's surgery wasn't going to do it otherwise. So it's like, I can just about manage that 20 quid to get the blood pressure monitor. I'd rather not. I'd rather stock up on some more store-cupboard staples, for example. But yeah, what are we coming to where we have to buy our own equipment? And I just want to say as well, I know there are a lot of people out there who, have huge fuel bills because of a medical need at home. If someone's on oxygen, or if they're having nebulizers all the time, they might have a bed where they've got an airflow mattress because that person is bedbound and they have to have the moving mattress to prevent pressure ulcers, what have you. I know this is small fry, but I'm not exactly, flush. So my first thought after I'd put the phone down was, what if I was someone who couldn't afford to buy a blood pressure cuff? What then? Yeah, another moan. And here's a festive moan. It's not a festive moan. Local newspaper. It's all getting very, I'm not sure when you'll see this video, probably to the end of October. I'm about mid-October, not sure of the date, 12th maybe. So it's kind of cute. There's the excitement for Christmas is building. I'm so looking forward to Christmas down here. There's so much on, and I'm hoping to be out with my camera and lights and sounds and all of that. So of course the free newspapers, both of our newspapers, they're full of now adverts for events of a craft fair at this village hall and a craft fair at that village hall and carols in this church in that village and carols in a church in Swanage. It's just all over Purbeck. There's all sorts going on. It's so cute. And some of the restaurants are starting to advertise for some meal deals, as it were, as in not actual Christmas Day necessarily, not necessarily Christmas meal, but a special occasion meal. So we've got there's a festive brunch, there's afternoon teas, and I was looking at this one in particular, and I won't say which restaurant it is, but they're doing a 2-course meal for 30 quid, 29.50, let's call it 30 quid, and a 3-course meal for 33 quid. Where's my... Oh yeah, there we go. Because I made some notes of some costs. As a vegetarian, I would say, so what they're offering is there's 5 different starters, 5 different mains and 5 different desserts. Great. So it's a table d'eau in so much as there's no prices on each meal. It's a price for it's by the number of courses you have. So it doesn't matter what you have to eat. Everyone's going to pay the same price. That's table d'eau. And I would say, as a vegetarian, you're always going to lose out. So if I see that a restaurant is only doing, this goes back to the days when I did used to eat out sometimes. I just wouldn't ever go to a restaurant that was only table d'eau, because I know I'm going to miss out. It means the table of the host. What I want is an a la carte menu, which is numerous different starters, numerous different mains, whatever it is, and they're all individually priced. So if I want a main, I'm just going to have a main, 15 quid, whatever it is. The reason this has got me moaning, the monthly moan, the vegetarian option is rubbish. Come on, it's 2025. So many people are vegetarian. There's tons of people who are vegan, and it's really easy to make a vegetarian meal vegan as well. But if I was going to this restaurant as a vegetarian, I would be having, the stuff that the meat eaters get is incredible, but I would be having butternut squash soup. So a bowl of soup, whoop-de-doo. Unlike your meat eaters who are getting their smoked salmon or like a chicken pate with a cognac and cranberry parfait and all fancy. No, I'm going to get a bowl of butternut soup. And then for the main, I'm going to get a butternut Wellington. So there's not even variation between the vegetables. A Wellington's lovely, but also with the mains, the meat eaters are getting dauphinoise potatoes with a morello cherry and port sauce, crushed new potatoes, tender stem broccoli, and a lemon and caper butter. Or the traditional turkey meal, you're going to get cranberry stuffing, pigs in blankets, Yorkshire puddings, roast potatoes, cranberry sauce, and a roast jus, blah, blah, blah. with the butternut squash Wellington, roast potatoes and gravy. That's it. Why can't I have some tender stem broccoli? I'm the vegetarian. I'm just pointing this out because it lacks imagination to have, for vegetarians, you're basically going to have butternut for starters and butternut for main. But my big issue, and this is where I did some pricing, I'm going to be paying the same. So let's have a look now. Your wild duck. So I'm going to do this prices in kilos. I'm not suggesting anyone's going to eat a kilo of any of these ingredients, but it's just an idea about the difference in ingredients. So my butternut squash per kilo is about £2. The duck per kilo, it's about £20. The salmon, £15 a kilo. That's the cheapest I could see online. It's more like £20 a kilo. Turkey, that ranges wildly from £10 to £25 a kilo. And the pork, anywhere between £10 and £18 a kilo. Again, varies wildly. But even if you went for the cheapest meat on there, it's still 5 times more expensive than the vegetarian ingredient. So why are the vegetarian dishes costing the same as the meat dishes? It doesn't seem fair to me. It would be nice if somewhere like that they've got their starters and mains and desserts. That's your meat eaters menu at £30 for 3 courses. And here's the vegetarian menu with maybe 5 starters and 5 mains to choose from at £20. Look, I know that I've worked in hospitality, so let me just say that from the outset. And I know that there's more to the cost than just the cost of food. Of course, the chef has still got to cook whatever type of food she's cooking. The waiting staff have to wait on tables, whether it's a meat table or a veggie table. I get it. There are fixed costs that it doesn't matter whether you're a meat eater, a 1-courser, a 3-courser, a veggie. I get it. However, some of that cost is the cost of ingredients. So maybe just bring it down by £3 or £4 for the veggies. But more than anything, especially with the main meal, can I have some of the tender stem broccoli that the meat eaters are getting? Because I'm bored with butternut by now. And also soup as a starter, really. Look, I know some people like soup. I love soup. I eat soup all the time. I eat soup all the time at home. If I go out for a meal, I want something a bit more fancy than a bowl of blimmin' soup. Anyway, there we go. I told you it was Moany Monday. Moany Monday? Moan of the month. Right, let's have some slightly happier stuff. I haven't finished moaning. No, look, big moan to finish with, and then we're going to get on to happy stuff again. Still nowhere with the roof. I've now gone through 6 different roofers. 2 haven't turned up. One of them hasn't turned up twice. One of them, I just can't get a quote from them. I keep ringing, emailing, nothing, so they're ditched. I've had 2 quotes across 6 so far. I had another one in last week who I really liked, and I think he's the one that I want to do the job. No estimate, no quote, nothing. So yet again, I'm going to spend time. I might try and get some of it done today. I'm going to be spending time chasing people to give them my money. I'm chasing you in order to give you my money. It's crazy. It's mind-numbing. I was talking about it with Paul the other night and saying how it is actually starting to get a bit stressful because it's always in the back of my mind. Even if it's a day when I'm not making phone calls to chase people, it's still in the back of my mind. Every day I'm thinking, okay, at some point today or tomorrow or this week, you need to make time to chase up roofers again. Now you need to find yet another company to see, it's an appointment tomorrow. Will they turn up? Won't they turn up? So it's just always... And we haven't even started the process yet. I haven't started the process because I have to do a process as the freeholder to the leaseholders, and it's a 3-stage process. It's a legal process that I have to follow, and that takes 3 months. So I need the quotes to start that process. It's driving me insane. Anyway, that's not the worst of it. My planning application for my windows has been turned down. I am not allowed. I am spitting feathers. I have lodged an appeal that my lovely fairy grandfather, he's taken care of most of the appeal paperwork, but then the statement, the substantial part of the appeal, why I'm appealing, I've done. That's now been sent back to my fairy grandfather, and he will complete that and get that in. The reason they've turned me down is because of the material, because I can only afford UPVC. I would love to have timber windows, but one, I can't afford them, and two, I certainly can't afford the upkeep, because being here, you know, timber windows need repainting every 5 to 10 years, depending on which, you know, north, south, whatever elevation they're on, depending on your general weather, but also being by the sea, it's more like 4 to 5 years. I can't do that. I can't get up a ladder with a paintbrush on a hill that's like that. I'd have to pay someone. I can't afford that. So, for someone with at the moment, a mild disability, although I try not to think of myself that way, but it is something of a disability because it stops me from doing things, I would have to, anyway, they've turned me down because of the UPVC. And I'm sure lots of you will be saying, oh, well, quite right. Remember, this isn't a listed building. My actual home is not a listed building. I'm in a conservation area. And normally I would say, well, yeah, I understand that. However, the vast majority of this street, everybody, not everybody, almost everybody who has replaced their windows on this street has replaced them with UPVC. So just in my immediate little clump, 90% of the properties are UPVC. One of the most recent applications for another property on the road, the conservation report says, we'd rather not have UPVC. However, we recognise that the majority of the street has already been using UPVC, therefore we must allow it. So you've allowed it for them, and then, I mean, literally in the last few years, I won't go into detail because it's about other people's properties, but the fact is, I did my own little street survey, and 10 out of the 11 properties have UPVC windows. And they look smart, they look tidy, they look clean, they look smart. And when you walk up the street, you're not thinking, oh, horrible UPVC windows. You walk up the street and think, what a lovely street, look at the gorgeous Purbeck stone. So yeah, I'm absolutely fuming. A, because it's putting my time scale back again, but B, that it's just like, hang on, you've allowed all these other people, why not me? That's annoying. Yeah, the time scale of it, it's probably going to take at least 6 months for the appeal to be dealt with. So my fairy grandfather was telling me about this, you know, he's got his ear to the ground on it, but sort of 6 months to possibly a year or more. So I can't commission the new windows. I have to wait until, let's say, I mean, touch wood, please, please, please let the appeal work. Let's say in 12 months, in November 2026, they say, okay, we concede, you can do it. It's going to be another 3 or 4 months to have my windows manufactured and installed. In other words, it's going to be 2 winters with single glazing, with windows that rattle. They don't even fit. Whenever there's even a breeze, you can see my blinds whoosh, flapping, because there's no seal. There's no seal around them. I tried one of those covers a couple of weeks ago. It blew off. But you know, on the stick, you stick it around the window. It was all blown into, anyway. Yeah, I'm really upset about that. Really angry, upset. It's the injustice of it. I can't stand unfairness and injustice. I like equality, and when 2 people aren't treated equally, that's one of my big bugbears in life, whether it's you're not treating people equally based on their gender or their colour or their religion. It does my head in. And when you don't treat people equally in terms of what they do with their windows, anyway, right, happy stuff. happy, happy, happy stuff, because I need to wrap up soon. Oh, that might have to wait another. No, let's crack on. So, oh my goodness, I've watched a tremendous DVD recently. It's called The Chorus. Can we see? Oh, Reflections, The Chorus. This was just such a beautiful film. The main actors, Gérard Jugnot, François Berléand, a film directed by Christophe Baratier. It's in French. Don't worry, if you want to watch it, it has subtitles too. And I actually found I didn't need the subtitles much. Yeah. Gosh, what a beautiful film. There's a gentle quality to it, even though it's quite brutal. So it's shortly after the war, I think it's 1949, and all these boys, aged from sort of about 7 or so up to 17, they are sent to, I mean, essentially it's like a Postal. It's not prison Postal. It's not, they haven't been sent there by the law. They're all kind of naughty boys. Parents can't handle them. So they're in this place, and they are living there, living, sleeping, eating, breathing there, as well as having lessons at school as well. But it's hideous, it's draconian, it's inhumane, it's awful, absolutely shockingly awful. It's run on fear and punishment, and it is quite brutal at the beginning. But then along comes a chap here. He's going to be a new teacher there, and he's also going to, I can't remember the word they used for it, but he's sort of like, he sleeps on the same floor in sort of the dormitory of the boys. He's like their pastoral carer out of hours as well. And to cut a long story short, so this guy, the teacher who comes, his passion is music. And I mean, he's really out of his depth when he gets there. These kids are going to kill him, because they are really, really naughty to begin with, but that's because no one's ever given them time and attention and direction, what have you. But he starts a choir with them, and it's gorgeous. What notes did I make? Yeah, these boys, they needed compassion to help them find their way out of the mess they'd got themselves into. This film ultimately is a film that is about hope, kindness, dignity, and understanding. It was absolutely, I'm going to get emotional talking about it. It was gorgeous. I really, really highly recommend it. It's, like I just said a few seconds ago, there's something gentle about it, and I think it's because his character, there's a real sort of calmness and gentleness in him. And as the film goes along, we can feel ourselves thinking, there might just be some hope for these boys. It's gorgeous, and I think there's that kind of wonderful metaphor for life, and that's why I wrote about kindness and dignity and understanding. When we give people those things, when we give people kindness, when we give them their dignity, when we try to have some understanding for them, then from that can grow hope for better days down the line. It's gorgeous. It's so lovely. Don't be put off that it's in French. There's a lot of space around the chat. There's plenty of time to read the subtitles. There's quiet moments where you don't have the subtitles. And of course, then all the singing. You don't need to understand French to understand what's happening to these young boys. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely stunningly gorgeous. Oh, and then lastly today, I really do need to be quiet now. I have just ordered some more Honest Toil oil. I think I got a bit of a discount. Are they selling off? So they are just processing their 2025 harvest. So that should be available soon. Meanwhile, all the 2024 harvest, the stocks are coming to an end, and I think that might be why I got a little bit off. So when I first bought them, I wrote the date on the label here to remind myself. It was at the beginning of March, and A bottle that size, that's half a litre, is 15 quid. I loved it, I went through it. So I thought, okay, next time I'll go up to 1 litre. That doesn't look like twice that, does it, somehow? But that's what I did. So I went up to the litre tin, and that cost £24, quite a lot. Worth it for good oil. But that, at 24 quid, makes that, instead of being 15, it makes that £12. So this time, I've replaced it, I've gone up a size. I've now gone up to the 2 litres. I love this. Is it the mermaid and merman? Because that's what you want to do. If you're in the Peloponnese, rush down to the beach and go and swim with the mermaids and mermen. It's cute. I haven't spotted everything on here yet. A church bell tower, amphora. Oh, the olive grove. So that size, the 2 litres, is 37, normally 37, and that brings this down from 15 to 12 to £9.25, so it's a much more economical way. But I actually got that one for 35 and free postage. 35 is 15, 17, 58, so that would make that £8.75. Brilliant. For me, it's well worth it. I'm supporting a really fantastic company, organisation. I'm supporting a part of the world that I absolutely adore, that's had a hellish time in the last 2 decades, really. So yeah, if you're up for some oil, go and check out their website. And like I said, so this is all this stuff. This is all the 2024 harvest. I presume they'll do new designs on the tins for the 2025 harvest. When my 2 litres runs out, I will be hopping along and looking at their 2025 harvest. Just to say as well, I know that I think they do a 5 litre tin, and that brings the price way, way down. So if there's more than one of you in the house, you may use I use a lot of olive oil. You may use tons of the stuff, so that's worth it as well. There was something else I wanted to say. What did I want to say about the oil? I can't remember, so it doesn't matter. But there we go, yes. Ending on some happy stuff. The chorus is gorgeous. The oil is gorgeous. The socks are just joyful. So yeah, a lot of grrr in between, but we'll keep smiling, keep ploughing on. All right, lovelies, that's it for today. I will catch up with you again. Oh, we might be in here. I need to get on with doing some cooking. So I'm not sure, but whatever it is, I will see you then, hopefully quite soon. But until then, deep breath, Vivi. Cheerio.